Hey all, so today we are talking about knee pain, and mainly the idea of how we position ourselves to transition ourselves. It's something Donnie uses um, in the studio a lot, and when we're teaching clients, is just that idea of how we are positioning ourselves, how we position our bodies prior to movement. And so today we're talking about how we position ourselves when we're from a sitting position to a standing position. You know, so how we take that position and transition it without creating today's topic as knee pain. Um, because that's what we see a lot is when people go to stand up from a seated position, they a lot of times have knee pain. And most of the time that has to do with how they're positioning themselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So first of all, when we're in a seated position and you go to stand, the height of the chair is important. Because some people will have if you say, for example, if you're in an office chair, it has wheels on it, you make sure it doesn't roll away. So maybe lock those in if you're having to get up and down a lot. If you're getting up from your typical chair, sometimes can be very, very low for a lot of people. So maybe put a little cushion in there, a pillow or something, and get your height of your chair a little bit higher. Especially if you already have knee pain, you already have knee issues and things going on. We need to adjust the height of that chair a little bit higher temporarily until your knee gets to a place where it's comfortable being a little bit in its normal position or where the chair's at. So height of the position that you're sitting in is important. So bolster yourself up a little higher. Shift your weight out to the edge of the seat when you go to get up versus sitting all the way to the back. Because then you'll have to do a momentum rocking forward and your weight's sitting behind you. So the weight needs to get out in front of you, and then the head needs to go right over the knees and right between the ankles as your body hinges forward from your waist. Don't look down at the floor when you go to get up. Look at your destination of where you're going to be looking at or staring at, or at least at horizontal level versus looking down at the floor. Because if you look down, that's where your body's going to want to go, where the head and eyes follow, or the body follows the head and eyes. Also, your weight position, you don't want your knees shooting out over your toes, but you want your weight of your knees going towards where your foot's pointed. So if your feet are pointed out like a duck, kind of turned out, let me move over the camera like this, that's not a good place for your feet to be pointed, okay? So point them here, parallel. Also have, one foot not in front of the other. So we're lining everything up. And then your toes are kind of like flashlights. So we make sure they're pointing forward and they're shining out into the direction where you're looking. Your kneecaps are the same way, and your knees point in the same direction. So if I just use let's see, there we go, use this elbow. Okay, so if this is your foot and this is your knee, you don't want your knee to be over here and your foot to be over there, and vice versa. So you want that, and those 2 points of your foot, because I'm using my hand, my foot, my knee, and my hip, sorry, I'm doing this backwards in the camera, they're all lined up. So my knee's not there, my foot's over here. You say, well, my foot's lined up with my hip, but the knee's over here, or vice versa. And again, what I always say is the knee is basically the conductor or the translator. So your foot, your knee, and your hip have a translator, okay? That translator is your knee joint. Your knee joint is to transfer energy or mass towards a direction, whether it's up, down, forward or back, or even side to side. But forward and back and up and down is probably the best direction because your joint of your knee is a hinge joint that really only works one direction, right? So lining up those 3 points and then getting your weight out, shifted out to where you're getting into the front of your foot to actually lead you up. All right, so that's basically the lineup of it.
Yeah, so the main thing is thinking about, where you're headed and thinking of pointing everything in that direction, because a lot of times we go to get up really fast and our body might be pointed one direction, and we might be thinking of going in the other direction, And so then it creates a lot of torque and pressure into joint areas that ends up causing pain and over time cause wear and tear. So, if we're getting up, maybe think about looking straight in front of you instead of, oh, I'm going that direction. And, something as simple as that, I want my feet going straight ahead, my knees going straight ahead, my hips, my shoulders, so that when I go to get up, everything is in alignment and we're not putting undue weight on one side of the body versus the other side of the body. Because that's what happens is if we're not lined up, then we end up weight bearing or putting weight more into one area, one joint than the other. And a lot of times we do it to the same because, we have one side that we feel more comfortable getting up on. So we end up putting more into that side. Or maybe because our knee's been hurting, we go to get up and we try not to put the weight into that knee. But that's just some basic things of, a simple thing that you can start to unwind some knee pain is just thinking about how you're positioning yourself to transition yourself. And then there's more that can go on top of that to work on the actual knee pain and what might be causing it and ways to move from that. So that is it for today. I just wanted to keep it quick and simple. So if you want to learn more too, we actually have this Friday a 5 steps to stopping pain so that it doesn't drain you from your whole life. And that will cover 5 whole steps, where today we kind of pretty much only covered one. It's mainly about position. So we'd love for you to join us in that. We'll leave the link for registration in this video, and hope to see you on Friday. Also register if you can't be there, because then you get the recording. So I hope this helped, and we will talk to you guys soon. Bye bye.
Take care.